choose to detach. Take the actions to actually have detaching yourself actually happen. It's you recognizing that you're so attached to somebody, and oftentimes what comes with it, you're dependent. Oftentimes it's like you're so used to them, you're so around them so much, or you lean on them, you call them up, they're the one for you, you have feelings attached to them, and it's like you can't see no exit out. I want to tell you this, you're gonna keep going through those ifs, ands, buts forever if you don't recognize that this is not healthy for you. Now I also say this to say, like, you could still remain with someone, and this could even be something, but understanding that there has to be a balance, or there needs to be something put into place. So I'll just give you a little backstory just to have you guys understand why I feel like this is so important. I'm still dependent when I need to be. There's a whole lot of other part of being dependent, especially when somebody's there wanting you to be dependent on them, and then there's still you being independent. My point is, I used to be dependent when I realized that I want this to last. Take that out of the picture, whether it's going to be a relationship, a friendship, it could even be with family members. When you take that out of the picture, you can see clearly, because it's not from a blurred vision of believing that, well, it's always been this way, it has to be this way. I recognize that at times it could be overwhelming, and then you never thought of, like, I guess you could say a plan B. As much as I'm not in support of plan Bs and just finding a way out, it really does ultimately come down to that. I feel like this will be so helpful for you to help yourself by recognizing how much it's either beneficial in this way or not beneficial. Can you live without it, or are you able to if you had to? Another thing too is recognizing how is it impacting your life. So if it's something that you're very much dependent on, or it could be somebody, is it that you have to like run back to them every single time? If it's a friendship where you feel like that person understands you more than another friend, do you feel like it's a healthy friendship there? Do you feel like you're making your friend feel like they're carrying your burdens, or do you feel like, well, I know them for so long, or I want to maintain it, and it's just feeling like you have to hang on? Analyze if you went like 3 days, let's put it like that. Sometimes it's about 3 weeks, sometimes it's about 3 months. Recognize and analyze if it goes that way, can you actually still maintain yourself? If you can maintain yourself, can you take it to the extent of doing better? If those questions come down to a no, there's a problem there. And once you recognize that there's a problem there, and then you know your solution, it's up to you to take those actions. But I really definitely want to put emphasis on, it's not going to be an easy journey in general. With most of what you do in life, because comfortability is what people are going to still run back to, it's still going to be that you're going to put into place, actually attempt. If you're thinking like the outcome is going to automatically be bad, or you feel like, oh, you're on survival mode and it's just the worst thing ever, you're best off doing that. As I said in the beginning of the video, you don't want it to be like the rest of your life or months later that you would have said to yourself, I wish I just would have started sooner. Or you would have said to yourself, like, you know, I wonder if life would be like this, or things would be different if I would have done it earlier. Like stuff like that, that's always going to be like the same cycles. You know how people have like the new year, new goals, all that type of stuff, and how many people also now say just because it's a new year, don't expect to be changed, right? Don't think like those routines that you had, the things that are really what you do every day, especially the bad habits, are just instantly going to change because it's January 1st. Just because, you know, like a week ago you were so motivated, and sometimes you had disciplines into place, but you're more motivated about starting fresh. You're more motivated about the idea of like, well, I can start now because it seems like a reset. You don't want that to be your beliefs. You want your beliefs to run off of, I have no other choice. It's better off this way. And also, and this is more to wrap up the video, just remember too, it's definitely better to start now than later. Because if you take your actions later, it's always going to be the excuses, as I mentioned. But the thing about that is that you're really going to believe that you got to do this, so it's going to be harder to get out of it. I mean to say, like, you're putting more time, effort towards what you don't actually need, to just realize like years later, months later, that it was never going to change. So I say that to say, like, you're still going to struggle regardless, but it's just choosing the struggle that you want to go through, choosing the pain that you want to go through. Do you want to go through the long suffering of knowing that it'll never end because you never did it now, or you never did it sooner? Then that's going to be on you. But ultimately, take the chance, take the risk, take the leap of faith of saying, okay, well, I'm going to do it now, as much as it's going to be torture, or it's going to be the worst feeling, or you're going to be lost, confused. There's different types of emotions that will come with it. But as much as it's going to be that, you much rather go through that just so you can end up having the rainbow, as they say, at the end. But that's still going to come down to the work is going to be pretty difficult, right? There's many things out here that not everybody can do. There's also a lot of things that people want, but they don't want to actually really get there. They don't actually want to go through, as I said, the suffering. They don't want to actually go through the sacrificing that they got to do. But if you recognize that, like, you know, you're again attached to, let's even say, somebody that gives you a different vibe, different feeling, but you know that they're in a place in life that is not going to help you get to somewhere you need to be. So to put it into perspective, as they say, you should hang out, be around people that are doing better than you, because that's going to help you, right? So if you notice that you're in the same stuck place, you're stagnant, you notice that there's no actual self-improvement, but if you do feel like you're getting somewhere, you're backtracking, then you have to remember, is there a reason that you just never actually tried to be without it? And as I said, if you recognize and you know, then the job is going to be done based off of, well, I have to take the steps because I have no other choice. Now, a lot of things do have to operate off of faith, because if you really feel like I have to actually have it presented in front of me, I have to know that I'll be okay, I'll be safe without it. If you actually have to like have hardcore proof, then you're going to actually put yourself in a box, meaning that limiting yourself is going to be really what's happening, because you're telling yourself ultimately, like, if it's not like this, then I can't do it. And you're now going to be in scarcity mode, and it's just going to be like, well, I don't want to try, I don't want to attempt, right? And you're just going to be too fearful. Well, that feeling is what you're trying to avoid at all costs. It's literally compared to being in your comfort zone. What happens most times when you're in your comfort zone? Think about it. You want to know what you're doing. You want to know that you're not doing something that you're not used to. And what's actually the most important is that you want to feel like whatever you end up doing is not going to end bad, or it's not going to be, let's say, like disaster. You basically want to know you're safe and secured with whatever the outcome will be, or the decisions that you take. So to put it in perspective as well, like, let's say the next day, you know that this is how your day is going to look like. If you have something that is in your routine that you've never done before, that you're kind of uncomfortable, you're scared, you feel like you're going to fail off of doing it, you're going to probably set yourself back already. And you're going to kind of put yourself in position of like, well, I will push it back. I will not really, do anything about it. I don't got to. You're not going to have the idea of like, I got to now. So change how you think. And I'll leave you guys with this as well. Like, look at it as like this. I'd rather go through feeling so scared about it, anxious, go through like whatever feelings that you have to overcome, because you're going to go through it regardless when you know you could have done something better. And also, don't be scared of failing. Like, every single successful person has failed. You do have to fail, and use it as motivation, because you want it to be looked at as in like, I want to fail to get better. I want to fail to end up seeing what I could be, what I'm going to be. How you actually do things, how your perspective is going to be on what you want, is always going to be how you're going to get there. Just meaning that, like, if you have a negative output on everything, then you're going to find excuses all day. You're going to find ways to avoid it in any way. You're going to run back to the friend that's not helping you out, or whoever it is, and just feel like, well, this feels much better. This feels much safe. This is much more familiar. Run from all of the things that are familiar to you, the things that make you feel like, well, hey, I'm going to be good. I know I'm going to be good because I know since I won't fail, or you know what, like, I will be okay. And also remember, with failure, you're still failing by going ahead and being attached to those things, by not finding a way to see it out, taking attempts, right? So like bad habits or friendships, relationships, like if you don't look at it as in like you're failing by remaining the same, that's actually a really bad way of looking at things. If you look at it as in like you're still good, you know you're good because you still have it, that's actually a bad way, again, of looking at things. You're not looking at it from the perspective of thinking greater. You're not looking at it like, oh, okay, I want more for myself. You're just looking at it as in like, well, mediocre is fine with me. Being mediocre in this aspect is okay with me because, hey, like, it's not the worst thing ever. And I notice also what happens is like, people will compare themselves, in general, but people compare themselves to like people that have the same things going on, because that can make them feel better. And sometimes people that have things less going on, so that can make them feel better. And if somebody is doing good for themselves, whether they're intimidated or they're scared of like taking the actions, let's put it like that, or putting effort in, they'll find ways to downplay it and make it seem like it's not a good thing or it's not that serious. I mean to say that to say, like, you're lying to yourself pretty much. If you find ways to say, well, like, oh, it's okay, there's other people doing it too, or if you find ways to say, well, oh, but they did it like this, that's how they got there, all you're doing is trying to find ways to feel better about yourself. So bottom line is that if you keep covering up for yourself, just finding these easy ways out, just expect to have the same thing happen. Just expect that you're gonna come back to this video months later and nothing has changed. So make sure you do comment your experience currently, or if you simply just want to put other things that you feel like will help other people, let me know in the comment section. If you want a part 2 of this video and other types of videos, let me know. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed with your post notification on. And that's it for this video. Bye y'all.